Hey guys, it's that time of the month. It's February, and that means it's the pick of the month. So here we are, February 2016. It's the pick of the month, and as you can see in front of me, the pick this month is the Corsair H110i GTX cooler. It is a fantastic cooler. However, you're probably wondering, why is the Noctua cooler sitting right beside it then? Well, it comes in right beside it, so I kind of wanted to have two picks of the month for this month because I cannot leave the Noctua cooler out. It is a fantastic cooler. This is the D14, but it's going to represent the D14, the D15, and the D15S. And the difference is that the D15 is wider and takes up even more room than the D14 does, but it cools better. The D15S is a single fan and has more room for heat sinks on your memory and taller memory modules. It also has an offset clearance for the video cards. As you can see, this one's living on the video card, and that's the D14. So if that was the D15, it wouldn't even fit. The D15S would fit much better, but it would only be one fan on there. So basically, in my situation, this is the pick of the month if you have no room or you want to keep your case completely organized and you want as good or slightly better cooling than the Noctua. However, the Noctua is the best air cooler on the planet. It is just the best. The D14 is fantastic. The 15 is even better. So they are the best air coolers around that money can buy. In fact, I don't think there's anything more expensive than that on air that's better anyway. This is pretty much the best bet for air. If you want to keep more room in your case and have taller memory and a whole bunch of video cards and you just don't have the room and you want to be able to access your case, this is the cooler for you. If it comes down to which one cools better, that's all relative. In most circumstances, the Corsair cooler is going to cool slightly better. How much better depends on the room temperature and a lot of different factors, but it is going to cool slightly better in most scenarios. However, it is liquid cooling, so it would be expected it to cool better. But however, the Noctua is a great cooler. But with that in mind, this is the pick of the month. It's the Noctua cooler and, of course, the Corsair H110 GTX. I'm going to go ahead and get the Noctua removed, and then we're going to unbox this and show you how to install the pick of the month, the Corsair 110i GTX. So now that we have the CPU cooler from Noctua removed, we can go ahead and lay this computer case down. We're going to have to undo the bolts on the motherboard to lift it up just enough to get the plate swapped out, because this case particularly doesn't quite give enough room to do that without lifting the board slightly up. So we're going to go ahead and do that now, and we're going to get the back plate on for the Corsair cooler. So we got the motherboard out, we got everything out of the package here. You have your two fans from Corsair. Of course, these are the back plate right here, and you've got the different tightening thumb screws here, but there's two different sets. One's for LGA 2011, one's for the 1151, 1150 and 1155. And the difference between these screws, if you look at them, is basically the ones with the almost equal sides of threading is for the 1150 series, 51, 55. And the one that has one longer screw on one side and a very short screw on the other side is for the LGA 2011. I know that's kind of an odd way to describe it, but if you look at them both side by side, one has got a shorter and a thicker pitch on it, and that is for the 2011 motherboard. So we're going to go ahead and get the back plate on and show you how to put the motherboard in. So we're going to go ahead and get a closer look here. So we're going to go ahead and get the back plate on. You just basically put it in right here. And you're going to have to adjust them just a little bit because it is kind of like a one-size-fits-all. And then once you adjust it just right and you slide it with your finger, it should go right in no problem, as you can see. We're going to go ahead and get the thumb screws on, and as you can see, the short, stubbier, larger screw base is for the LGA 2011. The 13 to 66 and the 1150 series will use the one that's got almost pretty much equal-sided screw on either side. So guys, here we are. We're going to set up the fans, but first, just to let you guys know, you're going to go ahead and once everything's set up, you're going to need to plug in the USB connector to the side of the mount, and you're going to have to plug it to an internal socket port for USB. You're also going to need to plug this into SATA power, and you're going to need to plug the 3-pin connector here that has one wire to it to your CPU fan header, and that's going to control the power and the pump setup. And then the fans are going to connect to these right here. So we're going to go ahead here and get everything situated inside the case. Just be careful not to bang anything around too much or damage anything. Okay guys, so now that we got the fans in, we're going to go ahead and put the memory in and then get the cooler onto the CPU. And just to let you guys know, 100% you can definitely get the RAM in and out with this, even though the fans are really close to the memory. You can still get it in and out. The only real tricky part to this is when you want to remove the RAM. You kind of got to have like a little flathead screwdriver or something just small enough to get in there to hit the release. But other than that, getting the memory in and out is easy. Whereas with the Noctua cooler, it's a lot harder. It's almost impossible. Even with the D15S, it's pretty much impossible. You have to like remove the cooler to get the last stick of memory out. But with this, everything's good to go. There we go. Memory is in. So now that we got the cooler all cleaned up, we're going to go ahead and position the mounting points here with the plastic still on, just to get a good idea of how it's going to sit. These hoses actually do turn, so you don't have to worry about that. And then we're just going to run our 3-pin CPU, which is really only 1 pin, in a 3-pin mount, and we're going to put that in the CPU fan slot, which is basically going to power the pump. And then of course we've also got the other power for SATA, which we're going to run behind and tuck the cables, and then we're going to connect both the fans to these behind there as well and tuck all the cables in. So let's go ahead and do that now. We're going to remove this protective covering, and then be very careful, as it does have thermal compound already on it. And you're going to basically line it up very gently. You don't want to touch the CPU until everything's lined up on all the posts here. And then you're going to press down. And you're going to hold it down firmly without letting it pop back up. And you're going to grab the nuts that retain this down, and you're going to go in a crisscross pattern. And you're going to want to put once you have all the retainer nuts on, then you can use a Phillips screwdriver to tighten them down. Don't over tighten these. That is a bad thing. And don't tighten one too much. You're just going to go ahead and tighten each one little by little. And just tighten them just so they're snug with 2 fingers. So you're going to see here that when I'm tightening it, it's going to get really hard to turn, and then it's going to be pretty much just 2 fingers. And that's it. You're not going to want to put too much pressure on here, because it will definitely break if you start putting all kinds of torque on the knobs. Just use 2 fingers to make sure it's snug. So there we go. These hoses do turn. It's much cleaner like this than having any other type of cooler. Plus it's water cooled, so it's going to be a lot cooler than most air coolers, and I'm expecting this to be even better than the Noctua, even though that's a great cooler. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in the USB first for the head of the cooler and show you how to do that. So I'm going to get you in a closer view. So here we go. Going to plug in the USB power for the Corsair, and what we're going to do is I'm going to run it basically behind the case, because I want everything all tucked in nicely. So we're going to get it to come in behind here, and then be sure that you plug this in, whatever one you're not using for the front of your case, because you are going to be using one of these, and make sure to line up the pin right here with the your bottom right when you're looking at it, and you just plug it in like so. And then I'm going to feed this cable through all my wires, and it's going to come up through here. So as you can see, it's going to come up here, so it's going to go just like that. But of course we're going to tuck the wires, and so I'm going to do that now, and then we'll come back once I've done that. So it's finally done. As you can see, everything's put back together. Wires are all tucked nice and neat in the back. She's ready to go to turn on and to test to see what kind of temperatures we're going to get. I've done a test already with the Noctua cooler. I did the CPU-Z stress test and the bench test, as well as the MSi extreme tuning for Intel test. I did all three of those benchmarks. I even then ran the video cards on the combustor with MSi to get them really hot to see if that would heat things up on the CPU, and then did another stress test to see how well the Noctua could cool. And I'm going to do those exact same tests now with the Corsair H110i GTX, and I'm going to compare them on the screen. So let's see what the results are, and then we're going to come back and talk about this cooler. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the Corsair Link software here to show you guys a quick overview. You can change these colors, which we'll get into later, but first you got the motherboard power voltage and temperatures here, and then of course the processor cores and package temperature, as well as total use. Hard drive goes right here, and then you've got the video cards here and the cooler right here. Now you can change the pump from performance to quiet right here, but it's really not that loud. Even on performance, you can't even hear it over the quietest fan. It's practically inaudible with the case closed, even on performance. You can change the name from pump to whatever you want. I only leave it on performance while gaming. I leave it on quiet while doing anything else. So now you can see the fan controls over here. It's set to quiet. You can see the curve is pretty relaxed. When you go to balanced, it increases, and that's pretty much the one you're going to want to use most of the time, even while gaming. Performance is heavy duty and it gets louder, but it cools like crazy. And then you can go to custom, and you can actually drag where you want the graph to be and where you want the fan to kick in and what percentage you want based on the temperature. So let's say you want to set the pump to performance. You just hit OK. You go over to the fan. Let's say you want to set it to custom, and you just want to drag it around like this and just get it exactly how you want. Real aggressive curve. You can actually hit OK once you're done setting it exactly the way you want. You go into Manage Profiles, and you'll hit New Profile, and we're just going to leave it New Profile 1, but you can type whatever you want. Hit OK. There it is. Now, when you go to profiles, it sets. So if I go to quiet right now, you'll see the pump will switch over to low, and so will the fan. But if you go to profile and click New Profile 1, which is the one we created, you will see that the pump will increase. And, of course, the fan is set to custom, so it's going to increase based on temperature. You can also go in to Manage Profiles, and you can delete whatever profile you have, and then you can set it there. So I'm just going to leave it on balanced right now. So now you can change the LED color, which is the Corsair logo and lettering on the top of the cooler that sits on the processor. You can change it to pretty much any color you want. I pretty much leave mine at red, and then I basically set my warning color over here to yellow. So you can basically set it like that. So when the temperature goes above anything that you set it to, it'll automatically turn yellow. Most people have their cases closed, so this doesn't matter that much. But I usually set mine to 79 degrees or 80 degrees just as a warning. You hit apply, and that's done. Now, you can also go over here, and you can configure different, temperatures and all different kinds of stuff, which we won't get into at this point because most people aren't going to use it anyway. Here you can change your accent colors. I prefer red, but if I was to pick just say blue, just hit apply and everything would be blue. I just typically leave it red, but you can have it pretty much whatever way you want. You can also change the text color to whatever color you want. I set it to black here, and boom, you can have black and red. But I just typically leave that white. So you can pretty much do whatever you want as far as customization goes, but the Corsair Link software is awesome. So you don't have to use the Corsair Link software to control the fans. You can basically use the motherboard by unplugging the fans from the Corsair Link pump and plugging it right onto the motherboard CPU 1 and 2 header, or you can get a splitter, which will just put it all onto one CPU controlling output. This way you control CPU 1 fan, it'll control them both, or you can have it on 1 and 2. It doesn't matter, but you can plug the fans directly to the motherboard. And that means that the Corsair Link software will only control the pump. And you can basically, if you have a nice motherboard, a newer one, you can control the fans with a curve just like you can with the Corsair Link software, but it's not really needed since the Corsair Link software does the same thing and it's free and it comes with it. So you can just use it either way, whatever works for you. So here we go. Let's compare temperatures. Corsair on the left, Noctua on the right. First test was a benchmark with CPU-Z, and you can see the Corsair is a couple of degrees cooler. Next, we did the CPU-Z stress test, which you can see that the Corsair cooler is about 2 to 4 degrees cooler all across the board. Moving along to the MSi Intel stress benchmark test, and you can see once again, we're looking at about 5 to 6 degree difference that the Corsair is cooler. Now we're going to move along to the combustor test, which tests the video card, heats up the case, and again you can see a couple of degrees difference there. And then after everything's all stressed out, we go back for another stress test in the CPU-Z, and you can see the temperatures are just a couple of degrees cooler yet again. So as you can see from the results, the Corsair cooler was a couple of degrees cooler in some of the CPU-Z tests, but when the going gets tough and you're really pushing the video cards, things are heating up inside the case and you're really pushing the CPU, sometimes there's as much as 6 to 7 degrees or more difference between the two coolers. So the Corsair cooler is much better at cooling with intense applications with its big fans and water cooling capabilities and the big radiator that's over 280 millimeters wide. Now that's not to say that's the only thing good about the Corsair cooler. It saves room in the case, you can change out your memory easier, just a lot more organized in there, not as cluttered and nowhere near as big, which makes it look much tidier in the case. That's not to say that the Noctua cooler is ugly by any means, it's just more bare and just huge. This cooler from Corsair just gives you the more room to access, like I said, your memory, and taking it off to change thermal paste is really, really easy and taking off the Corsair cooler to change thermal paste is easy. You just undo the 4 locking tabs with a screwdriver and it kind of just hangs there. Unlike the Noctua cooler, when you take it out, it's pretty bulky and heavy and you got to pull it out just right. Getting memory out, you have to remove the Noctua cooler, but with this, you do not. So if you guys are wondering how loud are the fans, I'm about to demonstrate it. I have my Atomo Shogun recorder here via HDMI, and I'm going to set up the Corsair Link. Right now, the case and the cooler are set to quiet mode, so I'm going to go ahead and switch to the internal mic on the camera, which is really sensitive so you can hear what it sounds like. It's pretty quiet, right? Well, let's go ahead and switch over to performance mode on the fan. And this is about 40 to 50%. So as you can see, it's not that loud at all. You can hear it, but it's very acceptable, not much louder than most of the coolers out there. In fact, it's quieter than the cooler from NZXT. So let's go ahead and set it up here to go a little higher. Let's see what 60% sounds like. This is about 60%. So it's not that loud, really, even at 60%. When you start pushing it beyond 80%, it's going to get pretty loud. Still better than the NZXT cooler or most of the other coolers on the market. And here is 85%. So not too bad. It does get a little loud. Anything at 80% or higher is going to be really loud, but it's going to be cooling like crazy. You can feel the air just coming out of the case. So it is a fantastic cooler. And if you're going to be playing your games on surround sound or headphones or anything at a decent level, you're not going to hear it at all, even on high speed. And then once we go back down, we're going to go to quiet mode again. And it's just really quiet. On quiet mode, you can't hear it at all. Even when it starts getting aggressive in quiet mode to cool the system, it's still barely audible. It's not until you get to balance you start to hear it. Here is balanced. Balanced is about the equivalent of the Noctua cooler. Even when it's at its peak starting to cool in balance, unless you're getting really hot, it's not much louder than the Noctua cooler. But when you get into performance, that's where it's considerably louder than the Noctua cooler. But the Noctua cooler is actually pretty silent, so it's not saying much. It's always going to be louder when you start speeding these fans up because the Noctua cooler practically makes no noise with the case closed. But it's not a bother at all unless you're above 60-70%. You're not even going to really hear it. As you can tell, this right here is about 25%. We're at 1100 RPM. You can barely hear it, and I'm right beside it. But hopefully you guys found this review helpful. I tried to make it as informative as I could. Don't forget to stay tuned after the video. Check out the new blog and newsletter to learn how to sign up for that. It's coming right after this video. So I got some more review videos coming out. I'll be doing a shootout between the Radeon Fury, the Fury X, the 390X, and the 980 GTX Ti cards. Got a big video of that coming out this coming week. And I've also got the Canon T6i review coming, hopefully in the coming weeks. I didn't do that review yet, and I definitely want to because one of the most successful videos I've ever done was the T5i. So I got that video coming as well. I also have the Ursa Mini 4.6K coming. I'm working on getting my hands on that. It's coming out real soon. We're getting really close to that. But don't forget to subscribe. Check out how to subscribe to the newsletter, and of course the blog. You can post comments on there, and you can also get all the latest sales that are going on, the latest news, new videos I'm doing. You get all that right in your inbox. Just go ahead and sign up for that newsletter. It's right on the right side of the navigation, which the video coming up will show you how to do that. I'm going to put that right at the end of this video, and you can check that out as well. Don't forget again, guys, subscribe, support the channel. To purchase any of the gear I review, please use the links in the information box to keep the channel going. I'm Corey with Faymus Media, and happy shooting. Or should I say, happy building. So I just want to take a moment here to go over the new blog that I have up and running and finished. As you can see, January's pick of the month is the newest post, and there's all the information regarding the post and the links to purchase any of the gear that I'm reviewing. Direct links to YouTube as well. You can sign up in the blog. On the right side of the column, you'll see there's sign up and login over there to the right, and it's right below where you can subscribe to the newsletter. The newsletter, every time I post a new review on YouTube, I'm going to post it in the blog, and you'll get an email regarding that right away, because I know YouTube's not very fast on that. Steals and deals that Adorama, Amazon, and B&H have. If I find a really good deal on something, I'll make sure to email you guys at least once a week with really good blowout deals and any new cameras that are coming up. So make sure to sign up there, guys, for the newsletter, and sign up for the blog and leave your comments. And hopefully you guys are going to start having fun. The forum boards are on the way. Happy shooting.